That I see, but this I sow. In Scotland, on a high hill, there lies an unkempt graveyard and, next to it, the shell of an ancient church. A peaceful place by day, but no one goes near it by night. The old church was burned down long years ago, set afire by Clan MacDonald when it had been full of their enemies, the Mackenzies. Not a single Mackenzie survived, and it is well known that the church, and indeed the whole hill, is haunted. In the village at the foot of the hill, there once lived a tailor named Sandy, a hard-working man who was saving every penny he earned so that he and Flora, the love of his life, could be married. Though Flora loved Sandy and was saving her own wages to hasten the day of their union, she had caught the eye of another man, a well-to-do farmer named Angus. Accustomed to getting what he wanted and fancying himself quite clever, Angus visited Sandy's tailor shop one afternoon on the pretext of having his shirt mended. As the tailor plied his needle, Angus brought the talk around to the great expense of setting up housekeeping with a wife. "Why, a man needs a deep pocket to support a household," Angus said, shaking his head. "It's nae wonder we're both single yet. What would you be willing to do to get the cash to carry Flora over the threshold of your own happy home?" Sandy smiled sadly. "I would do anything." Angus grinned, his yellow teeth glinting. "Would you sew me a pair of trousers in the old church, starting at midnight and finishing by dawn?" Sandy was no fool. He knew about the church being haunted. He also knew about Angus's roving eye and how it had fixed on Flora more than once. And when he saw the large bag of clinking coins that Angus dangled in front of him and pictured himself with his dear Flora in a snug cottage with a wee garden and a fine cow in the barn, he agreed. He would sew the trousers that very night, deliver them in the morning, and claim his reward and his bride before the next day was done. The men shook upon the bargain, and Angus, his shirt well mended, made his way home, whistling happily, confident that his rival would not survive the night and that Flora would very soon be his. The brave tailor arrived at the church shortly before midnight. First, he tested the door to be sure that it would close. He pried loose the latch on the inside of the door, leaving the outside latch as it was. This way, the door could be drawn shut from the outside, but not pulled open from the inside. He entered the church, leaving the door ajar. Inside, the fire-blackened stone walls were pierced with tall, narrow windows, barely wide enough for a man's fist to fit through. Although the moon shone down, for there was no roof to stop it, it gave but a feeble light. The tailor settled himself in a charred pew near the door, lit a tallow candle, and began to sew. The wavering flame sent shadows dancing all around him. Clouds scudded before the moon, deepening the gloom in the dark corners, and small creatures scuttled unseen along the moldy walls. On the last stroke of midnight, the tailor gasped. Leaning towards him, Out of the blackness was a great, fleshless skull, grinning, its sockets empty of eyes. The bony jaw opened, and a voice like ground metal roared out. "Seest thou this great head of mine, O tailor?" "Aye," said Sandy, bending over his work and scarcely daring to look up. "That I see, but this I saw." "Seest thou this long, grizzled throat without food, O tailor?" demanded the thing, as more of its ghastly self materialized. "That I see, but this I saw," replied the tailor, whose stitches were getting longer and longer. "Seest thou this long, grizzled trunk without food, O tailor?" The thing was drawing nearer. Sandy dared not look, but again he answered, "That I see, but this I saw." His needle flew through the fabric. "Seest thou this long, grizzled thigh without food, O tailor?" The skeletal horror stepped fully into the candlelight. It was huge, as tall as 2 men. The moonlight through the ruined roof made the bones shine like they were lit from within. Sandy's eyes looked like moons themselves as he raced to put the last few stitches in the trousers, stitches that were growing very long indeed as more and more of the monster came into view. "That I see, but this I saw," he said, though his voice quavered and his tongue was thick with fear. "Seest thou this long, grizzled arm without food, O tailor?" It raised its massive dead fist skyward with a loud rattle. Sandy took his last trembling stitch and bit off the thread. In that instant, the thing stretched out its bony hand to seize him. The fleshless jaws gaped and bellowed, "Seest thou this great, grizzled paw without food, O tailor?" Sandy gripped the newly finished trousers, sprang to his feet, and sprinted for the door of the church. Before he could get through it, the skeletal fingers caught his leg, the sharp bones raking the back of his calf. Then Sandy was outside and had pulled the door closed behind him. As he leaned, panting, against the sealed portal, he heard the fumblings of the thing as, unable to find the missing latch, it scraped and scratched at the wood. The monster's angry howls followed him down the hill as the tailor raced for Angus's home. The day was dawning when Sandy presented himself to Angus, demanding payment of their wager. But Angus denied that Sandy had gone to the church. When Sandy showed the bloody wounds on his leg, Angus claimed he had scraped himself with briars. Their words became more and more heated until a group of townsfolk, hearing the tailor's story and Angus's challenge, went to the church to investigate. They found deep gouges and dents that splintered the wood on the inside of the door that could only have been made by the haunter Sandy had described. Angus was made to pay the tailor what he had promised and was given the trousers that had cost him so dearly. Sandy and Flora were married without delay. And when Angus danced at the wedding, The long stitches in his trousers gave way and left him standing bare-bottomed amidst the laughter of the entire village. As for Sandy, for the rest of his life he bore on the back of his leg the scars where the bony fingers had scoured his flesh. And though he sewed many more trousers over his lifetime, never again did he venture near the church after dark.